Very hard. It was very hard. But someone said something to me when I was in hospital. And I still remember it to this day. And they said this, they said, Sam, it is your decision, not your condition, that determines who you are. And you know, guys, I'm thinking about that for a second. You know, it's so true. It is our decision, not our condition. You know, we all have these conditions on our life. My condition is a lot more physical. You can see my condition. But we all have these conditions. Whether or not it's loneliness, whether or not it's doubt, whether or not it's financial, whether or not it's relationship, whether or not it's those times where you just want to give up. I don't know what goes on in your life. I don't know sometimes the family problems that you might have, the doubt that you might have, the problems, the issues. I don't know. But one thing I do know, that it is not our condition, but it's actually our decision. It's our attitude towards that. You know, a guy recently came up to me and he said, Sam, I have so many problems in my life. I said, what do you mean? And he said, Sam, I have problems at home and with my family. Me and my wife are split up. My kids don't want to talk to me. I have problems with my car. It's always breaking down all the time. I have problems in my work. I can't focus on my work. I'm not earning money. Help me with my problems. I have so many problems. And I said to him, I said, would you believe I've only just left over 1,000 people with not a problem, not a worry at all in the world. And this guy goes, where? I have so many problems. I want to go and hang out with these people. Whereabouts? I have so many problems. And I said to him, it's the graveyard down the road. It's the cemetery down the road. You know, problems is a sign of life. If you have no problems, get down on your knees and ask for problems. Because problems define our character and who we are. If you look at some of the most successful people on the planet, some of the biggest billionaires, some of the biggest celebrities, some of the biggest sports stars, a lot of them have way more problems than you and me, but they've learned to overcome those problems, pick themselves up and continue to move forward, no matter what. A very good friend of mine was speaking at this big rally recently in Africa. 20,000 people, big sports stadium. And he's an Australian and he's a friend of mine and his name is Nick. And get this, Nick is the most positive, the most happiest person I've ever met in my entire life. And get this, he was born with no arms and no legs. His name is Nick Wojcik. Whoa, wait. Let's get this into perspective, okay? Here is a boy, here is a man that was born with no arms and no legs, yet he's happy, yet he's positive. And here we are, we complain about the little things that go wrong in our life. Sometimes we need a reality check. Sometimes we need a little bit of perspective. Here is a guy that was born with no arms and no legs, yet he's happy, yet he's positive. You know, when I was going through my rehabilitation, my whole rehabilitation team, this is my occupational therapist, these are the doctors, these are the nurses, these are the physios, the whole sole focus was to bounce me back, was to get me back to that same job, was to get the same type of environment. Well, after I had my accident, you know, actually there was a big newspaper article in Australia that said, the bounce back guy. You know, I have a problem with that term, bounce back. Let me show you why. Imagine this is you, okay? This is you. And you're slowly moving forward, you've had your ups and downs, but you're slowly moving forward, have your ups and downs, you know, they're the crisis and the few little problems that we have, okay? And then suddenly here, we hit what we like to call a crisis. You'll have to bear with me. I used to be a right-hander, but now I'm learning to have to use my left hand. I'm still getting used to it, huh? So this is us. We're moving forward, have our ups and downs, and suddenly up here we hit a crisis, okay? And then suddenly we have this thing here, which is called a downturn. Yes? Yes? So the downturn can either be in our personal life, in our family, or it can be in our business, or whatever that might be. And then suddenly we hear the downturn, and then down here we hit a thing which is called rock bottom. Yeah? So sometimes when we have so many, we have this crisis, then we have this massive downturn, and then suddenly we hit rock bottom, and we think, where to from now? But then we're told, okay, you can bounce back. It's okay. And then suddenly we're focused on bouncing us back to this place that got us to the problem in the first place. So think about it. So here we are, okay, we hit a crisis, we're then in this rock bottom place, and then suddenly we're told to bounce us back to this place that got us to the problem in the first place. So for me, I don't talk about bouncing back, I talk about bouncing forward. Because when you're bouncing forward, you go into a place that is unknown. So suddenly you have to start thinking creatively, you have to start thinking innovatively, because you've never been there before. So too often when we have a crisis, when we hit rock bottom, we're focused on where we've already been. But no, if we go back here, we're just going to have enough. It's too often we're focused on bouncing us back, but no, we have to bounce forward to get to the unknown, continue to create, continue to be the thought leader, continue to be innovators. Isn't it? So for me, it's not about bouncing back. It's more about bouncing forward. It's quite interesting. One of my bounce principles is this. You can write this down if you like. One of my bounce principles is crises create opportunity. I'll say that again. Crises create opportunity. Do you know, in the middle of the global financial crisis, there was a 34% rise of Australian millionaires. Did you know that every single one of the Fortune 500 companies, every single one of them had major crises that rocked their very existence? Yet everyone not only bounced back, but they actually bounced forward. What is the fastest growing company in the history of time? Anyone? Fastest growing company ever in the history of the planet? Facebook? No. Huh? No. Do you know what it's called? Groupon. Groupon, within 18 months of starting, Google offered them $5.3 billion. Within 1.5 years of starting. As of today, and get this, they started in the middle of one of the biggest financial crises in the world. It was founded in the middle of the financial crisis, yet it was the fastest growing company in history. Crises create opportunity. Every single one of these companies that I'm about to show you, every single one of these companies were founded, were ignited, actually started in the middle of a financial recession. Every single one of them were founded, started in the middle of a recession. Crises create opportunity. Very quickly, I want to take